There's a moment you might not even notice until it's already passed. You're sitting across from her. The conversation flows easily. She laughs at your jokes. Her eyes linger just a little too long. It feels like everything is going right. Then it shifts. She suddenly questions your opinion in a sharp tone, or she flirts with another man in front of you. Maybe she accuses you of not caring enough. You feel the ground beneath you tremble, not physically, but emotionally. It's subtle, calculated, unexpected. That moment is a test. And most men fail it, not because they're weak, but because they're unaware it's even happening. But a Stoic man, he sees the storm coming long before the sky darkens. He doesn't panic, he doesn't react, he simply remains. Because he knows that every test from her isn't about cruelty. It's about certainty. She wants to feel your strength, not the kind found in fists or loud voices, but the kind carved from disciplined presence and emotional stillness. And that's the kind of strength Stoic philosophy teaches you to master. You see, women don't consciously plan most of these tests. Often, they don't even know they're doing it. It's instinctual, evolutionary. When a woman tests you, what she's really asking is, can you hold your ground when I lose mine? Can you be the calm in the chaos I create? Because if you crumble when she challenges you, if you chase her approval the moment she pulls away, she senses that your foundation isn't real, it's reactive. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's not just Stoic wisdom. That's the ultimate test of manhood in a relationship. Because make no mistake, relationships are the arena, not a battlefield of dominance, but a proving ground of inner control. And whether you realize it or not, she's watching, waiting, hoping you'll rise above your impulses. This is why she tests you, not to break you, but to find something in you that even you may have forgotten. Your strength of self. Let me ask you something. How do you respond when the woman you love tries to trigger you? Do you take it personally? Do you explode? Or do you breathe, pause, and remain centered? Because the way you answer that question will shape the kind of man you become. So let's go deeper. When emotion meets identity, the reason her tests hit hard is because they strike at your ego. She questions your worth, your masculinity, your emotional stability. And if you haven't done the inner work, your reaction becomes a mirror of your unhealed wounds. You might snap at her, trying to reassert control, or you might go quiet and retreat, hoping the storm passes on its own. Both are emotional reactions. Both are failures of presence. Stoicism isn't about becoming emotionally numb, it's about becoming emotionally sovereign. To feel everything and still remain unmoved in the direction of your purpose. Epictetus said, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. That means her test only works if there's something inside you that allows it to. And here's the harsh truth. If a woman's opinion of you can shake your self-worth, it means your self-worth was never yours to begin with. A Stoic man doesn't seek validation from the external world, especially not from someone else's shifting emotions. He leads himself. He honors his values. He holds the line not to control her, but to stay in control of himself. It's not coldness, it's clarity. In modern dating culture, many men are told to be more emotionally available, more open, more vulnerable. And while there's truth in emotional openness, most forget the critical piece. Without boundaries, your vulnerability becomes a weapon used against you. You ever wonder why the more emotionally reactive you become, the more distant she gets? It's because she doesn't want to feel like the emotional leader. She wants to feel your frame, your calm, your certainty, even when she throws fire at you. The test. You're not supposed to pass. Quickly. Here's the paradox. When she tests you, she doesn't want you to pass it by pleasing her. She wants you to pass by not needing to. Let's say she accuses you of not caring because you didn't text back fast enough. The average man will rush to apologize, explain himself, and offer reassurances. But a Stoic man will calmly explain his reality. I was focused on something important. I'm here now. He doesn't grovel. He doesn't apologize for being on his mission. And because of that, she feels safer. Why? Because she senses that his world doesn't revolve around her mood. That's the kind of man she can trust to lead. That's the kind of man she can follow, even when she's feeling lost in her own emotions. And trust me, women don't want perfect men. They want men who are anchored, men who stay grounded even when they themselves are spinning. Seneca once wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Are these emotional tests? They're that friction. It's not about passing one test and thinking you're done. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to pass anymore, because his character speaks for itself. The calm within her storm. You might think the test ends once she smiles again, once the storm seems to pass. But here's what most men miss. Women test you when they feel closest to you, not when they're angry, not when they're bored, but when they begin to open up, emotionally, romantically, even spiritually. That's when fear creeps in. Fear that you're not who you appeared to be. Fear that you'll collapse under pressure. Fear that you'll lose your frame and dissolve into neediness. So she pushes, subtly, sometimes harshly, not to destroy, but to reveal. And if you overreact, she starts to pull back. Not because she hates you, because she doesn't feel safe trusting your center anymore. Now I know what you might be thinking. Why should I have to prove myself? Why does she get to test me? And that's a valid question. But the answer isn't about fairness. It's about nature. The masculine tests the feminine through consistency. The feminine tests the masculine through emotional volatility. This is ancient. It's not new. It's in mythology. It's in psychology. And it's in your relationships. The woman becomes the wave. You are the shore. She wants to crash into you, not to erode you, but to feel that you're still standing when the water settles. A Stoic man becomes that shore, and he does it by knowing that nothing she says in a moment of emotional heat defines him. He doesn't fight fire with fire. He breathes, he stays rooted, just like Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over. It stands unmoved, and the raging of the sea falls still around it." That's how you become unforgettable to her, not by impressing her with words, but by revealing the depth of your stillness. If you've ever wondered why she pulled away after things got close, ask yourself, did you stay grounded or did you start orbiting her emotions? Because she doesn't want to be the center of your universe. She wants to join you in a universe you've already built. The inner war that most men never face. Let's be real. The hardest part of these tests isn't her behavior. It's what they expose inside you. Maybe you have abandonment wounds. Maybe you grew up needing to people please to feel loved. Maybe you've never truly known what it's like to stand alone in solitude without needing someone to reflect your value back to you. These tests bring all of that to the surface. And that's the gift. Stoicism isn't just about being calm, it's about transforming your relationship with pain, with fear, with rejection, because the more you learn to sit with those uncomfortable emotions, the less power they have over you. And the more she senses that you are not her emotional project, but her emotional sanctuary. Here's a modern truth many men miss. Emotional control doesn't mean you suppress everything. It means you master the space between stimulus and response. The second she triggers you, and you pause and breathe and choose presence over panic, that's the Stoic path. And she feels it. She may not say it, she may even keep pushing, but deep down a part of her starts to relax. Why? Because you're not trying to fix her. You're not begging for peace. You're just being the peace. That kind of presence rewires the dynamic entirely. It tells her, you can bring chaos if you need to. I'm not going anywhere. That's love through strength. And ironically, when she feels that strength, She tests you less. You don't need to win her with emotional performance. You win her through emotional integrity. So the real question is, can you stay rooted even when your heart is tempted to beg? Strength doesn't chase, it leads. Let's imagine a modern-day example. You're dating someone, and for the first few weeks, everything flows. She texts often, wants to see you, talks about the future, but suddenly, she pulls away. Her replies become slower. She seems distant. Then she drops the classic, "I just need some time to think." Most men panic. They double text. They over-explain. They try to fix it. But the Stoic man steps back, not in coldness, but in confidence. He doesn't punish her. He doesn't chase her. He simply continues living, training, building, reflecting. And that silence, it tells her more than any words could. It tells her that he's not afraid of space. It tells her that her approval isn't his oxygen. It tells her that if she returns, it's not because he pleaded, it's because he led. This is where most modern dating advice fails men. It teaches tactics, how to respond, what to say, when to call. But Stoicism doesn't give you scripts. It gives you a mindset, one that says, I will not betray my values to keep someone who is uncertain about me. Because the moment you abandon your center to gain her attention, you lose both. And she feels that. She feels when your behavior is rooted in fear. She feels when your words are bait. But when your actions flow from self-respect, that's when she feels safe surrendering. When you become the test. At some point, if you live this truth long enough, something unexpected happens. She stops testing you, not because she's given up, not because she no longer cares, but because she's come to trust your presence so deeply that your very existence becomes the test for her. Let that sink in. When you walk with purpose, when your actions reflect discipline, when you speak with calm instead of craving, you create a new standard. You no longer have to say what kind of man you are. She sees it, she feels it, she rises to meet it or fades away from it. Because here's the ultimate shift. When a Stoic man walks into a woman's life, he brings order to her chaos, not through control, but through consistency. And that, ironically, becomes her mirror. Just as she once tested your emotional stability, now she must face her own. Not through punishment, not through distance, but through reflection. She begins to ask herself, can I match the steadiness he brings? Can I surrender without manipulating? Can I love without testing his worth? This isn't about dominance, it's about polarity. Stoicism doesn't make you cold, it makes you clear. And in a world drowning in emotional noise, clarity is power. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." And there's nothing braver than being emotionally grounded in a world that profits from your insecurity. But to reach that place, you must first face the pain most men run from. You must sit in the discomfort of not being chosen. You must endure the silence without begging for sound. You must let go of the fantasy that if you just say the right words, she'll love you the way you imagined. That's not your path. Your path is deeper. If your love depends on her approval, it's not love, it's addiction. But if your love flows from strength, she'll feel more seen with you in silence than with another man shouting affirmations. Solitude, not isolation. Let's talk about a word most men fear, solitude. The Stoics praised it, but modern culture confuses it with isolation. Isolation is avoidance. It's loneliness wrapped in distraction. But solitude, that's where a man meets himself, where his values crystallize, where his purpose sharpens, where his emotions are faced, not escaped. And that's exactly why solitude is essential before, during, and after a relationship. When she pulls back, you don't chase. You return to solitude. When she tests you, you don't react. You return to solitude within yourself, even in the same room. When she leaves entirely, you don't collapse. You retreat, refine, and rise. Because the man who knows how to be alone is the man no woman can ever truly control. You become free, not from love, but from the illusions surrounding it. That's the kind of man who builds a legacy, who attracts real respect, who earns admiration, not by demanding it, but by being it. Marcus Aurelius sat alone, night after night, journaling the very meditations that would inspire millions. And yet not once did he write, "She left, so I lost myself." He wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed." Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. There is no room for emotional slavery in the mind of a Stoic. If she can rattle your spirit, it's not her fault. It's your opportunity. Every test is a chance to become unshakable, not for her approval, but for your freedom. The Stoic way forward. So what do you do now? You stop waiting to be tested and start training for it. Every moment you delay your purpose, to text her back instantly. That's a failed rep. Every time you change your values to avoid an argument, that's a skipped workout for the soul. Every time you react to her emotion with emotion, that's you dropping the sword of your own presence. But every moment you choose stillness over reaction, purpose over panic, boundaries over begging, that's when you become the man she hoped you would be, long before she met you. You don't need a strategy. You need a philosophy. You don't need to guess her next move. You need to know yours. And above all, you don't need to pass every test to earn her love. You need to become the kind of man who doesn't need to be tested anymore, because your presence is your proof. So here's what I want you to do right now. Take 15 minutes today. Turn off your phone. Sit in silence. No music, no scrolling, no distractions. Just breathe and ask yourself, where am I chasing approval instead of living by principle? Where am I reacting to tests instead of rising from values? Write down one area where you keep failing your own standards and commit to changing it, not for her, but for yourself. And if this message spoke to something deep inside you, share it. There are thousands of men out there right now trapped in emotional loops, not because they're weak, but because no one ever showed them what it means to stand still in the storm. Be that example. Be the calm. Be the Stoic. This is Stoic Leadership Insights, where we don't chase validation. We build men of virtue. Subscribe for more wisdom, strength, and clarity. And remember, when she tests you, don't see it as a challenge. See it as a mirror and pass by being the man you were meant to become.